Assalamualaikum and hello. We are from Group 11. I will present our draft of Parliament Act, which is Criminal Code. Consisted of me, myself, FARISYA KASIM, ADILAH binti MOHAMAD, PUTRI SYAZA SABIHAH binti PUTERA NURUL SYAFINAZ binti SENIN, and NAJWA binti ADLIN. So let's begin with the content of Chapter 4 of Criminal Code, which consisted of several sections, which are Section 16 until Section 21. In Section 16, it is an offence for a person to commit an act of suicide. This is because life is consisted of the fundamental good, because all other goods or human rights depend on its protection. Thus, human life is a natural right for all human beings as it comes from the God. If one acted as against the natural law, it seems like he may act immorally, as what is natural is considered as moral. Therefore, if one took his own life, it can be regarded as going against the nature, because naturally, the fate of a person's death would lie in the hands of the God, not a human. In the case of Giankar against the state of Punjab, the Supreme Court of India opined that the right to be killed is not a part of the right to life. The court also declared that the right to die is not a natural right, and no one has a right to finish his life unnaturally. Based on this, we could see that the law does not treat the right to death by way of taking our own life is not a natural way to die. No person shall be deprived the right to life, and not even our own self. Therefore, considering that it is not natural and it would be contrary with the human rights, hence the law declared attempt to suicide as an offence. However, the punishment for suicide under Section 17 is different from assisted suicide under Section 16. Assisted suicide in this Act, as defined in Chapter 2 of General Explanations, is suicide effected with the assistance of physician or healthcare provider for terminal illness. In other words, the suicide must be assisted due to medical reasons. In jurisprudence, I would like to highlight the natural view on death. The natural law is a group of principles of right action that prescribe behavior for situations of morally significant choosing. For example, if someone has no chance of healing from a severe illness, a question that might arise is the reasonability of keeping the patient alive in the final stage when the pain becomes unbearable is opposed to the true meaning of a dignified life, and it was argued that the only effective alternative was active euthanasia to ensure a dignified life by granting the right to die. Therefore, to prolong someone's pain is not immoral for a human being. Hence, the reason why assisted suicide shall not be considered as a suicide in general sense and should be legalized in the law. In regards to the life of a human, the Quranic position presents the earthly life as a temporary life that has no eternity and declares that death is ingrained in human life. Additionally, the Quran presents Allah as the former and sovereign over life and death. Surely we belong to Allah, and to Allah we shall return, as stated in Surah Al-Baqarah verse 156. Thus, it is clearly stated that in both Quran and Hadith that one should have killed themselves, as it is forbidden and prohibited by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as stated in several verses in Quran and Hadith. This is also in line with the view of naturalists, where the ultimate law is the divine law. The observation of Thomas Aquinas represents the dominant understanding of natural law during this period. He asserts that the rule and measure of human acts is the reason through which some God's purposes may be discerned. He considered God's law as the reason of his wisdom, and human laws and institutions are best founded when built upon the reason. So based on this, it refers back to the reason why the naturalists view suicide as a forbidden. It may be because it is immoral to harm ourselves. On top of that, the forced death is also not natural for it to be considered as something positive for the community. Now, I'll pass the presentation to Putri Shaza.
Okay, next moving on to section 19, whereby this section represents Western jurisprudence. And the reason why such section is included is because the misinterpretations between culpable homicide and murder, whereby the difference between these two is actually the degree of intentions of the offender. If the person is killed in cold blood or with planning, that is the murder, because the intention to kill is in a high degree and not out of sudden or provocation. On the other hand, if the victim is killed without the pre-planning, in sudden fright or in sudden anger because of somebody's provocations, then such death is called culpable homicide. Hence, whether the act done is culpable homicide or murder is actually a question of facts. So it is abstract from the idea from sociological school of thought, and the sanctions behind law is not behind law is not the force of state, but the awareness on the part of the individuals. The punishment of life imprisonment is to educate the individual of his action, as capital punishment is not only be the solutions for the society. Moving on to section 20, felony murder. So basically, felony murder is a rule that allows a defendant to be charged with first degree murder for killing that occurred during a dangerous felony, even if the defender is not the killer, meaning that the person is present during the killing accidents. Then why such sections should be included is because the objective of Sharia law is to protect life, and this section is applied Islamic jurisprudence as the law. In Islamic teaching, as it wants people to be fair to all people. By applying this section, it raised awareness for the society to not be associated in any crime or even worse in murder case. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. That is a very common in Islamic jurisprudence, whereby the person involved in the crime should be responsible for his criminal act, even though he's not the one who killed, but he's still involving himself in assisting the crime. So therefore, the objective, back again, the objective of Sharia law is to protect life. Thereby, this section is to impose punishment of life imprisonment or pay compensation to the heir. As in Islamic law, punishment is to educate the society and not to punish them severely. So moving on to section 21, it is the combinations of Western and Islamic jurisprudence. Murder is a serious offense, but in Islamic jurisprudence, there is also a need on the part for the court to take into considerations if the person is truly repented by his action and if the offender is forgiven by the victim's family. As Islamic law also is flexible as the objective is to protect life. It is also combinations with natural jurisprudence, whereby humans, in natural jurisprudence, it says that human beings possess intrinsic value that govern our reasoning and behavior. It can be said that even in Islamic jurisprudence, supremacy cannot be assigned to man-made constitution or parliaments, pursuant to Surah Yusuf, quotation 40, and to be applied in these sections, an offender who commit murder is implied by his intention to kill someone, and this action solely by his natural behavior to kill someone. Further, if the punishment by the act is one of the way to prevent, but it's not an absolute law, as the supremacy is still lie on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I'll pass the floor to my next friends.
Okay, next I will continue with the provision for sexual offences. I will start with section 22 for rape offences. So the law behind of this provision is natural law, which is according to John Mitchell Finis. The term basic goods means basic values that human being wants in their life. The basic values includes health and freedom from pain. So rape offences involve force against women. So this is contrary with the natural law according to John Mitchell Finis. Moreover, natural law contains the element of morality, where the law cannot be defined as law without morality. Section 23 will focus on marital rape. So this is based on Islamic jurisprudence, where Surah Al-Baqarah verse 2 to 3 provides that your wives are a place of sowing of seed for you. So come to your place of cultivation however you wish, and make an introduction for yourself, and fear Allah, and know that you will meet Him, and give good tidings to the believers. This means that a husband must come to his wife with love and care, and not forcing his wife to have sexual intercourse. Next, according to hadith by Anas ibn Malik, it provides that three things fall under unkindness, and one of them is when the man engages in sexual act with his wife without sending a messenger, humor and kisses. No one should directly fall on his wife like one buffalo does to another. This clearly shows that marital rape is immoral and wrong in Islamic law, and also should be avoided even in civil law. So section 24 will focus on punishment for rape for Muslim and non-Muslim. So according to legal positivism, utility principle, where the law should bring benefits to society and prevent the happening of mischief or bring unhappiness to the party. The punishment for rape, which is whipping, fine, and also imprisonment, are believed to bring justice and happiness to the victim. Moreover, the element of the offences must be fulfilled in order to punish the offences. So by this working theory of law, it shows that to arrest someone for rape, the people arrested must fulfill the definition of rape under Section 12 in this act. Lastly, according to Islamic scholars, if the husband used violence to force his wife to sleep with him, he is legally a sinner and she has the right to go to court and file a complaint against him to get punished. So that's all. I will pass my presentation to my next presenters.
So moving on to section 25, which is about incest. So this section relates with Western jurisprudence under analytical branch. Analytical branch articulates axioms, defines terms, and prescribes the methods that best enable one to view the legal order as an internally consistent logical system. And that is why section 25 defines the term of incest and prescribes that incest is an offence according to the legal view, and that relates with Western jurisprudence. For the punishment for incest, section 26 clause 1, Western jurisprudence, because it focuses on the punishments for non-Muslims that commit incest. It relates with Western jurisprudence because section 26 clause 1 put a punishment of imprisonment. So section 26 clause 2 refers to Islamic jurisprudence because it focuses for the Muslims that commit incest. It relates with Islamic jurisprudence because in Islam, the punishments are hudud and ta'zirat. Similarly, section 26 clause 2 put a punishment of incest the same with the punishments of zina, which is focused on hudud punishment for Muslims. These are the punishments prescribed by Allah Almighty in the Quran or Prophet Muhammad SAW in the Sunnah are called hudud. It involves Sharia law, and so these provisions that include hudud are important because the severity of punishments aimed at discouraging criminal behavior. For the defense, under section 27, it relates with Western jurisprudence and it involves with common law. This provision is essential to protect the rights of the accused in regards to the offence of incest. All defendants or the accused are presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond reasonable doubt before the court. Next, I will pass to Nik Shuhada.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. So I am going to explain about the last chapter of this criminal code, which is about theft and robbery, section 28 to section 31. Okay, so in section 28, and it's explained about the value of nisbah for sarika, and section 29, the punishment for theft, which sarika, according to Islamic jurisprudence. So theft is forbidden because it is an aggression on other people's right and taking their property unlawfully. It is prohibition is based on the Quran and the Sunnah and the anonymity of scholars. Under Islamic law, theft is punishable by cutting the hand of their thief, whether a man or a woman. And this is has been stated in the Quran, Surah 5, Al-Ma'idah. As for thief, male or female, cut off their hands of both. This is a recompense for what they have done and an exemplary punishment from Allah, as Allah is Almighty and All-Wise. Muslims are agreed that theft is strictly forbidden. Not yet. Okay, so Muslims are agreed that theft is strictly forbidden and that the punishment of cutting the hand of the thief should be generally enforced. The right of people to own their property is respected in Islam, and any assault against the right is prohibited, whether by theft, embezzlement, cheating, bribery, betrayal of trust, or any other form of unlawfully stealing other people's property. A thief is a bad element in society, and if he goes unpunished, his depravity will spread and have far-reaching implication. As a result, Islam requires this punishment to serve as a deterrent to others, preventing them from committing the offense, as well as to safeguard the people's property and rights. It should be noted that this type of penalty is only applied to those who steal secretly, as stated in the conditions. Punishment for robbery, section 31. We are using the punishment through sociologically approach, which is by Emily Durkheim. For many sociologists, crime is a direct result of culture. SENIN 1938 has argued that social differentiation, the division of people into separate groups, is a product of the development of modern as opposed to postmodern societies, and this lead to cultural conflict, which is seen as the main cause of crime. Prison punishment is the most comprehensive social control, regulation, and crime prevention tool. All aspects of the prisoner is considered when one is jailed, which include physical training, workability, day-to-day behavior, moral quality, interest, and talent. Prison is more disciplinary than school, workshop, or military academy that always guarantee a kind of expertise and is all disciplinary with incessant action. According to Durkheim, society has an objective reality apart from the individuals who comprise it, and he argues that people behave according to social rules that, together with custom and tradition, form a culture for a particular society. Durkheim also suggested that the function of punishment was not to remove crime from society altogether, because society needed crime. The point of punishment was to control crime and to maintain the collective sentiment. In Durkheim's own words, punishment served to heal the wounds done to the collective sentiments. That's all from us, Group 11. Thank you.